One variety that has exploded in popularity in recent years has been Zinfandel, and there's no wonder why. It's an immensely versatile grape that really can make great wine. So here's the Cork Dorks list of 3 things you just gotta know about Zin. Number 1, don't let the color confuse you. In a restaurant, in some parts of the country, if someone orders a glass of Zin, they're gonna get a pink beverage brought to their table. And that's okay because red Zin and white Zin are made from the same red grape. But winemakers since about 1974 have made it into a white wine style too. A sweeter, refreshing, hot summer day wine you could even pour over ice. That's white Zin. But let's not confuse it with red Zinfandel. Point number 2, red Zins can come in really 2 styles as well. The elegant, silky, smooth wine that's really great with lots of different types of food. And then the red Zin that people really buzz about. The real wine lovers talk about the monster, powerful, brawny, old vine Zinfandels that are famous from California. You see, Zinfandel really is America's unique grape. It doesn't grow really anywhere else in the world, and we're really proud of it here in the United States. Number 3, American wine and everyday American food. Let me ask you, what are you eating on a Wednesday night? Is it pizza, spaghetti, burgers, grilled veggies? All of these American favorites go really well with one of America's favorite red wines, and that's Zinfandel. I'm here to meet with Eric Titus of Titus Family Vineyards, whose family has been growing Zinfandel in the Napa Valley for over 40 years. Eric, have you really seen a burst of energy with Zinfandel just recently, or has it always been a very popular grape for you?
Zinfandel over the years has had a lot of different iterations of popularity. Back in the early part of the 20th century, is actually one of the most planted varietals out there, along with some other non-Bordeaux varietals. Nowadays, you're going to see a lot more Bordeaux varietals. Cabernet Merlot are encroaching on the areas that Zinfandel actually once did occupy. But I'd say since probably the late 80s, early 90s, there's been another surge of popularity with Zin.
Well, one of the things that we've always thought is that Zin has become more popular as sort of classic American food has become popular. Zinfandel goes really well with a lot of the stuff people actually eat every day, pizza and burgers and pasta and that sort of thing. Do you think it's food driven, or has it been driven by just sort of a growth of all of the different varieties of wine that people get into now?
You know, I think actually it's kind of sort of an organic growth and popularity. There's people who are drinking Zin now that really have embraced it because it is different, or it was different then. It's taken on different styles. There's a lot of regional difference, and people are intrigued by that. I think, and then to reciprocate that and dovetail with it, there is a little bit more of that food pairing thing, and Zinfandel really does have some of the most diverse pairing potentials, again, with good American food. Anything grilled, tomatoey pastas, a lot of foods that typically Bordeaux varietals would go with, Zinfandel does as well.
Whenever you have people that come and visit and talk to you about your wines, what do you tell them about the ageability of Zinfandel? Can it age the way that your Napa Cabernet does?
Well, by its very nature, again, is with the idea that you're going to try and get the most of a complex flavor profile out of it. You want to let it hang on the vine, your acid's gonna drop. And so the acid is actually what provides the basis for the ageability. So by that simple logic, no, it probably won't age as much.
So Cabernet, more backbone, more structure, can take the aging. Maybe for your Cabernet, 12 years, 8 years?
Yeah, anywhere from 8 to 12, and I'm tasting some of our wines that are 15 years old now, and I can't complain about them at all.
And Zinfandel more like 3 or 4 years of aging capability?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's that's a tough question because, again, that's a question of taste. What happens with Zinfandel is because it's such a it's driven by the fruit notes, the fresh fruit notes. Those tend to fade, get a little bit more brandy-like. Raisiny, which actually is not. It's not bad.
It's just different.
It's just different, exactly. And if someone buys a case of Zinfandel and drinks a bottle a year, they're going to see some very different changes, a whole different wine by the end of that case than at the beginning. Whereas in Cabernet, you would see it would evolve along a very familiar line. Whereas Zinfandel, again, you're going to have a very different wine 7 years from now than the one that you're drinking currently.
You know, these old-fashioned two-armed winged corkscrews are a lot of fun to play with, but they're not so fun to work with. And honestly, every time I have to work with one, I'm reminded of our Cork Dorks list of really cool wine tools. Dan, this is an okay way, but show us the expert's way.
Well, the best way is a waiter's friend corkscrew, and it's very simple. It has a sharp knife on the end for cutting the foil right off the top of the bottle, just as easily as that. But the real key isn't the knife, but the actual threads of the screw itself. They're twisted around, and you just insert it right in the very center of the cork and let the worm just follow its way right into the cork, and then put the handle against the top of the bottle and balance, push and pull at the same time, and the cork simply comes right out.
You know, sometimes the simplest way is really the best way. You don't have to have all this complexity of this corkscrew to make it work really well. So a simple waiter's friend, a really good idea. Another very good tool, particularly if you've got some nice white carpeting at your home, is this, the pouring foil. Very inexpensive, $2 or $3 for this little mylar disc.
And absolutely dripless.
And it's very, very easy to use. You simply just roll it up, stick it right in the top of the bottle, and you're not going to have any drips as you're pouring that wine. So what are we going to pour it into now, Dan?
Well, the next thing on the list is a good decanter as a great wine tool. It can be shaped like a traditional decanter. I really like the duck shape. It has this flat surface across the top, and when you're pouring, you can see the wine as it goes in, and you know that when you reach the point toward the end of the bottle, if there's a little sediment, it'll show up easily so you know to stop pouring at that time. But the decanter gives the wine a lot of oxygen, a chance to breathe before it's swirled around in the glass. It's a good tool.
So we've opened it, we've poured it without drips now. Now we've got to get the wine into the right thing to taste it with. So let's go into the glass. This glass, the traditional wine goblet style of glass, is probably what you saw at your, last brother-in-law's wedding or something like that. And they're very functional. They wash very easily in the kitchen. But the heaviness of this glass and the relatively narrow depth of the bowl means you can't swirl this around and really get the best aromas out of the wine. What we like is a more traditional wine glass for a couple of reasons. One, it's much more deep, so you can really get that dynamic swirl going around and put the air into the wine that's going to make it smell good. And it also has a much thinner lip around the top of the glass, and that makes a big difference because that's what puts the wine in your mouth in the right place, and we like this traditional glass for that.
My final wine tool is a simple pen. It's just great to make notes of what you tasted. You can record, remember what you paid for it, how you like that wine, just a million notes, a pen, rather than just taste it. It's a great way to know what you tasted later on.